12, and we went to
Dad,
a
you want to
paintball.
restart that?
I'm starting it right now. So
right.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, my son there, we call him Little Justin. But anyway, he and I went to a paintball tournament. I think maybe Lively was doing it. I forget. But anyway, it was really a lot of fun. Justin never shot a paintball gun, and they were throwing up pie pans for the people that were there, just public. And anyone could enter. Well, we didn't have a gun, didn't have anything. And this guy there had this gold pump. It was really not. He was a good shot, and he'd hit 3 or 4 pans, and they would throw up, I think 6 or 8. It didn't matter. And so Justin's kind of stayed there, and he kind of shook his head. He'd like this guy said, "Here, honey, use my gun." And needless to say, what that guy that made autocar, he made that, remember that Ranger or whatever it was. Anyway, they threw that pan out there. It's about 50 feet out there. I think Justin hit every one of them. And that was the beginning. And he won a gun. And then that started us playing. And I remember watching him play his first game. A guy shot him right in the back of the neck from about a foot away. It was just a fun game for people that wanted to play. And I was furious. But fortunately for the guy, I couldn't find him. But it didn't discourage Justin. We were right back in it. We formed our very first team called the Slime Balls. And we both came up with the idea and the theme of it, and even the figure, which we still have, which was real cute. And we had as our theme was for fun, with honor, to win. And it's been the Slime Balls ever since. We're still play. And Justin, so that was how it got started, and we're still playing. Heck, I played last week.
He plays every weekend, so he will be 78 in April, and he plays every weekend. And really, the only weekends that he doesn't play is if we're taking a trip or if something like this whole coronavirus thing kind of shuts it down. So I'll say that this is the actual way that this happened is a little bit different. So, and it all
I thought he was wrong.
To my dad, who, number one, my dad has never met a stranger, and number two, sometimes he just can't help but kind of egg people on. So we did go to a Lively tournament, and we stumbled across this target shooting thing that was happening where they were throwing up pans from a distance, and then they were shooting it, and Dad kind of struck up a conversation while we were watching, and with the guy that happened to be in first place at the time with the target shooting thing. And I didn't know about this at the time, but Dad was kind of bragging on me as being a pretty good shot. So my family has shot guns, and I'm a pretty good shot. I've shot guns my whole life. And Dad was kind of saying, "Oh, my son is a good shot. It's a good thing that he doesn't have a gun to enter these competitions." And the guy was saying, "Well, paintball's a little bit different, blah, blah, blah." And of course, Dad was just reeling them in, fishing and reeling it in. So then the guy just said, "Well, here, you can borrow my gun, use my gun to enter." And of course, my dad's like, "I've got you now. Are you sure? Are you sure?"
Yeah.
And so I did. I entered and won the target shooting competition. And then the gun that was given to me was a prototype Ranger from Bud Orr. He handed it to me himself. And so, of course, I didn't know at the time, but of what it was. But I guess it was the first gun that he had made beyond the sniper platform, the sniper over and under that eventually gave rise to the autococker.
This is why.
Oh, wow. Look at that. So that's a commando, right? Or is that a Ranger?
No, this is a Ranger.
That's a Ranger. Yeah.
Yep.
So yes, that's the exact same. My mine did not have the engraving on it.
Yes. This was blank at the time.
Right. So it was that gun. And then I started playing, and I was 12. And then my father and I started playing on the same day. And then we just went on from there, and we had our team and played in it for a while. And I kind of, with the group of guys that I was playing with at the time, we all kind of grew up together. We decided to become more serious, formed what became the Saber Wolves out of the Slime Balls.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Anna then, so there's my father and myself. And then Anna, I guess when she was 12, really started playing pretty regularly with me out at the local field in Louisiana where we are. Am I missing something? Tell me.
No, well, I played for the first time when I was 12, but then we didn't move here until I was 14.
Okay.
So I didn't have a place to play regularly until I was 14.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Close enough though.
And then when we went to actually, you mentioned Jerry Braun earlier when you and I were talking before this started, but
yes,
Jerry advertised the Woods Ball World Cup. And so it popped across my Facebook page right as I was going to sleep. I think it was like 11:30 or something, New York time. And Jerry said, we're going to put on a Woods Ball World Cup. Anybody want to play? It's going to be old school, woods fields. And I mean, I called him up like 5 minutes after he posted it, and it rang directly. I figured it would be like a paintball store.
Right.
But a woman answers, and I'm thinking, oh no, I look at my wife, I'm like, oh crap, I've woken somebody up.
Yep.
And I said, I'm sorry, I was trying to leave a message for Paintball Sports. Let them. She's like, oh, that's Jerry, he's here. And so then Jerry and I talked, and of course we entered a Sabre Wolves. Didn't have a Sabre Wolves team at the time, but I told him that we would be there to play. And he was like, oh, you guys are still together? It's like, no, but we will. We'll be there. A Sabre Wolves team will show up. So I just started calling a bunch of the guys that I kept in touch with over the years, and some of the guys from the Sabre Pups and the kids that have grown up. And then Anna came up as an alternate. She had never played in a tournament before. But we got her on the field and she played and rocked. It didn't really surprise me. I'd seen her play for years out at the local field. And then it's from there on out, it's been kind of this new resurgence that we're all loving so much that's kind of brought us back out of the woodwork. Did I get any of that wrong, Anna? Is that?
Nope. No? I approve.
No, that's amazing that the family stays together and still plays on, and you get what out of it, what you want. You know what I mean? Like, you eventually moved on to the Sabre Wolves, but you also have sons that play on the Slime Balls. Is that correct, Justin?
Yeah. So the first of the two Tampa ICPLs, my oldest two sons played with Dad on the Slime Balls.
Yes.
And so that was both of their first paintball tournaments.
Oh, wow.
And
that was their first?
That was their first.
Wow.
So they trial by fire.
Yep.
And it was, of course, my dad's first paintball tournament in 20 years, I think. Dad is up. And so
I'd never played 10 man before. Anyway.
Okay.
But
so
anyway,
it's mostly 5-man.
Yeah, the old Sabre Wolves, we were very good at 5-man, and that's really where the original Sabre Wolves was founded, and then before that, Slime Balls was 5-man. So we kind of dabbled some in 10-man near the end of what I call the golden age of tournament paintball. You know, where you and I used to play right around the end of the 90s, turn of the millennium, and then it died. The Sabre Wolves died or went on a prolonged hiatus as things went towards X-Ball.
Yes. Yep. Understand. That makes sense. And now, do either or any of you play anything other than the classic format? I mean, you play big games. Do you play open sessions at your local field?
Used to. I played scenarios before, if that's what you mean, like local field scenarios. Yeah.
Really, the reason why I'm asking is because there's some competitive players that focus just solely on competitive, whether it's classic and airball. And then there's some people that play everything that they possibly can and can't get enough.
Yeah. So
I like the tournament paintball. Nothing really compares to it. So that's, once I got a taste of the tournament for that Woods Ball World Cup, I have a hard time going back to rec ball now, personally.
And that's perfectly understandable. I play for my health. It's a great way to get exercise. Well, I'm not good enough to play at those high levels, but although I'm playing in the Iron City, Iron Man or whatever it's called, I'll probably get a few bruises. But I play because I really love the sport, but you won't find anybody calling me up and saying, "Hey, would you be on our team?" But that's understandable at my age. And besides that, what you're looking at right here, you're looking at pretty good paintball player here. Anna, you're looking at better paintball player, and at Justin, you're looking at best, good, better, best. That's the three of us. But I've never been in that level, up in a level I could play. Justin ran off and left me. We played together a long time, but I'm talking about as far as picking up the skills necessary to be a good paintball player. but in squad. But you know what? The good book, there's a good book of some kind that says those who play together stay together, right?
Right.
So I'll say this so one of the things that I think is neat, and here the three of us, so 3 generations of one family that play competitive paintball, and we all may play it for different reasons, or maybe some of the same reasons, but if you went out to the local field and on walk-on days where my father plays, he's instantly among the better players that are out there. And there were, I guess, a couple of years ago, he traveled out to California to be available to somebody that kind of needed some help for a little while with a recovering from a medical issue. And I don't think he took anything out there except for maybe his gun. Is that right, Dad? You took your gun, but you didn't take, and maybe your mask? Yeah. He didn't take very much stuff, but he had jeans.
I didn't take much stuff.
And he's out in California. And of course, California has a reputation of being very, very heavy on paintball, and showed up at a field out there. And I think there were 60 or 70 people that were showing up every day to play. So Dad was out there for 6 weeks and played every weekend while he was out there. And when he first showed up, I think, if I remember correctly, Dad was telling me that the first day it was all just 2 captains were chosen, and then they picked their teams. And
Dad was the last to be picked.
Last person chosen. Of course, he was in jeans and a flannel shirt, and he looked like a newbie. And of course, he's older than Christmas, and so then, but by the end of the time that he was there, he was the first person chosen every game. The experienced players that were out there, he could roll over them, and that's kind of a neat thing about, to me, the classic paintball format. Not trying to take anything away from these athletes that are playing X-Ball or the NXL, kind of the format that's been promoted for so long. But one of the neat things about the classic format is that you don't have to necessarily be some world-class athlete or hurdler or snake player or something to really be able to make a great impact. I remember Pete Robinson used to talk about Gary Noblet being this really amazing creature on the paintball field, a really good player. And I think that there are so many parts about classic paintball where you don't just have to be a certain type of body type or anything to be successful. You can kind of make your game what it needs to be successful. And that's part of the neat thing, is trying to tailor your own game to fit whatever the need is.
Well, look at Anna. Look at Anna there. I mean, she's better than most men at this game, and she's a girl. And
she's very smart,
and
she's athletic.
But she's quite.
I don't know about that last part.
Well, honey, what is fun is, it has always been fun for me when I'm playing with you to find out that, Ann and I together on the same team can beat just about anybody. And a game of walk-on paintball, and you put the 3 of us on the team, and it's just totally unfair.
Right.
But I'll tell you,
that's
real
why
funny
they kept
experience.
splitting us up.
Yeah, they did. But I'll tell you, real funny experience. One, Justin and I used to play a lot of 3-man. He and Robin Adcock and I, and others too, would play. We'd always play 2-man tournaments. But anyway, one day, Justin, he was only a young kid. He was about 13 or 14. And this is one of the good old paintball stories. He was there and I was there, and we were at Randy Baxter's field. They already had something big going on, but they did have one field available. And about 7 or 8 of these guys from the Army base had showed up. They wanted to play together. And so we were standing there, and there were just one little kid about 10 years old there, and Justin and me, and we're there. Justin, anyway, the lieutenant there that was there, he said, well, we were kind of hoping to play together, but, and so Justin or one of us, we said, well, we'll play you. The 3 of us will play you, 7 or 8 of you. He said, oh, that's not fair. Well, they had this old guy named Vern. He was an old-fashioned referee, and this guy said, that's really not fair. And old Vern said, well, that's more fire than you think.
Yep.
And we just whooped them up all day. Anna,
yeah.
How are you feeling about? Are you still enjoying paintball like you are? Tell us about a little bit about how you operate.
Am I still enjoying paintball? What a question.
No, I didn't mean exactly that. You have to be playing to enjoy it, but if you don't have enough time,
well, I mean, I don't think everyone has time now, but we can't because of the virus. But yeah, I don't like every tournament. For me, every tournament gets more fun than the last. Like, I think last year the Saberwolves ended our season with World Cup, and that was probably my favorite tournament that I've ever played. was 2019 World Cup.
And you guys win? Yeah.
What?
She rocked it.
Well, I just wish, my only wish was that Dad could have played because he had his knee injury, so he couldn't be on the field with me. That would have been my only kind of thing to make it better, because I grew up playing with him, learning from him, being on the field with him. So it would have been nice to have that again, especially at World Cup, like winning World Cup together. But I mean, we still won together because he was captain. He was there for all the decisions and everything. So yeah, no, I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. To answer your question, Granddaddy, I love tournament paintball.
Yeah, well, I do too. I'd much rather play tournament than walk on, and I do play when I can. And I've got a best electronic paintball gun money can buy, probably 2 or 3 of them. But I use my adrenaline that Justin gave me, and I use a PB 170 mechanical from Eclipse, and that's all I use now. I let other people use my electronic guns, and because mechanical is far more fun. Only thing I'm seeing in mechanical that bothers me a little bit. May I stick this in?
Yeah.
I believe that the people are just too smart that are playing, and everybody's wise, and they've learned to shoot these things too fast. And I actually feel like that one of the reasons mechanical is more fun than electronic is that, and so if I had to choose, I would say no pressure loaders for everybody. Yeah. I would slow these balls down before mechanical becomes just like ramping did. I mean, you get out there and watch these people, and they can shoot 10 balls a second with a single trigger. And guess what? It takes the fun it takes some of the fun of the edge off of it, because that was the part of the problem with electronic guns. So I hope if anybody's listening to this, old man, you will say, let's all together make this thing where we slow these guns down, because it ain't no fun.
I disagree. I disagree.
Of course he does, but that's because he can shoot 11 balls a second.
I cannot. I've got somebody on my team that can rip them, but
yes, we do.
A couple. A lot to me with the mechanical guns to skill of being able to shoot fast, and some people can't. But there's a huge difference between having an electronic gun that has the advantage of an anti-chop eye that is limited at 5.5 balls per second, or a mechanical gun that is not limited in speed but doesn't have the advantage of an anti-chop eye where you can still chop balls or something like that. To me, if you limit to where you don't have the force feed loaders, all you're really doing is increasing the likelihood that your mechanical people are going to chop, because you can even somebody like me that I can't sustain a string of 13 or 14 balls per second like Aaron Rios can. I mean, Aaron Rios on my team is just a beast.
I was waiting for someone to give a shout out to him.
He's the fastest person with a mechanical trigger on planet Earth. I've never seen anybody faster, and he can just sustain these streams. It's really unbelievable. But I can have a momentary lapse, for lack of a better way of putting it, where I can have a 15 ball per second rate between 2 balls.
Right.
And so the nice thing about having the mechanical format is it can reward you, and it does reward the skill of a player in being able to shoot fast, but it doesn't necessarily hinder you because you're caught by gravity, and it balances it some way between the advantage that you have with electronics where they have the anti-chop eyes. I mean, the biggest problem that I had with the rate of fire issue when the turn of the millennium happened and then electronic guns really took over was that there was so much cheating. I mean, that's why they went to the ramping and things, but they couldn't make people not cheat. And I played on a pro team in England against a team. I played with an English pro team on a tournament at the Campaign Cup in England. I think it was in 2002 at Crystal Palace. And we played another team, and they couldn't get their guns to stop shooting. One of them it must have been shooting 30 rounds a second, just taking off. And
May I put in?
So
yes, because, yeah, that's a good soapbox. And I absolutely have all the respect in the world for this man. He's a great, wonderful man. He happens to be my son, but that's not why I love him for that reason. But I adore him for many reasons. But our family here, my wife, him, we have a great say in our family. It really keeps the peace, and that is, we'll just have to agree to disagree. And I sincerely disagree with every word he said, although what he said was the truth. It still is beginning to detract from the game, and people that really like to play a little bit slower game. And I will simply stick with that, and whatever little say I have, that I will stick with that, and I imagine all of us here will stick with our ideas. But that's one thing that we just have to agree to disagree. Anna, what do you think?
You're not going to like my answer.
No, honey, I'd like any answer.
I know.
It doesn't have to be agreeing with me.
For me, it's about the kind of, it's a very selfish joy of being able to see my own teammates shoot really fast, and shoot someone that way. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
That's a very, very forthright answer. I respect that. But anyway, well, what's next, partner?
I don't think there's a mechanical gun that's more purely mechanical than the autococker. I mean, it's just, and it's amazing that it's a mechanical gun that has stood the test of time like it does. Danny Love kills on an autococker. I mean, he
does, but it's got a power feed.
No. His rate of fire, he's able to shoot the gun that fast, and there are people that just have that skill. And so the power feed doesn't limit the rate of fire of the gun. It makes it less likely that someone's going to chop. And so I don't know that doing away with the
power feed
or those kinds of guns would really change. It's not going to change how people can shoot. It would just make somebody like Danny Love or Aaron Rios, it would handicap them by making them much more likely to chop paint.
Now there's my point right there. He made my point. And that's what on this subject, we'll just agree to disagree. But that is the exact point I'm making. Okay. Everybody should play this game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The only thing that I'm going to throw in there, because I'm a crazy history buff and I know these things, but back in the early 90s, they have a video of Tim Glavin shooting a stock automag about 13 balls a second.
Absolutely.
And now at that point in time, you really didn't have much of a loader system that could keep up. There were different things about it, but it was possible. It was possible. So that's how I feel. I have an opinion, but my opinion floats within you guys, and it's about you as opposed to me. So I just like to hear the different sides of the story. Sure. But there's people that feel very much the way that Pal does, and there's other people that feel very much the way that Justin and Anna do. My feeling on the topic is, as long as people play, I'm cool with it. I'm good with it. You're never going to be able to please everyone, and the boil down of this classic thing is it's great to see people like Pal, people like Justin, people like Anna being able to come back and play together and have a great time. And people are returning in record numbers because it's a legitimate format.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Welcome.
It's pretty amazing how you get people that are coming out of the woodwork to return to competitive ball. And I think that's because it speaks to all walks of life. And there's something, I mean, some of the guys on the Saber Wolves, they played their first classic tournament with us. And after it was over, that was Lane Wright's Southern Open at Atlanta. And afterwards they were saying, this is so much fun. We had no idea it could be this much fun. And they just never been exposed to it. It's interesting to think about an entire generation of paintballers that had never played competitive paintball, or sometimes even paintball at all. I mean, Aaron Rios, who now is just really deadly in the woods, but he took the field for the woods for the first time in a tournament with us, and we're trying to talk to him about triangulating between trees. And look, you don't have to be right up against the bunker. You can figure out how to kind of weasel your way and he was like, how can you do this? Like, this is paintball. This is how we grew up playing, crawling and camouflage, that's
right.
So it's neat. And I'm glad to see it coming back. I think it's a good thing.
Absolutely. And I think that some of the skills that you don't have, or that you lost or you left in the woods, would benefit today's players. Crawling, like you said before, crawling is one of the skills that you learn in the woods, and that can be very deadly on a airball field if done correctly. Whether it's in the snake or up the middle, you can use those skills. And I love to see the current NXL pros and players jumping over and saying how much fun the classic format is, because it's wonderful.
It's a hoot.
Absolutely. Anything that brings that all together. So what my another issue or another question that I have is, Justin, tell me about getting the Saber Wolves back together, the band back together. You know what I mean? Because I don't remember the first time that our paths crossed. It could have been at the Knoxville indoor. It could have been, in the 90s or early 2000s. But a lot of your guys I've known for a long time and have been around. But now you've added in the Pointer Brothers. You've brought in other people to really make it just seem like you put together a masterful recipe. Can you walk us through how you did that?
I'll tell you that it was definitely not a recipe. It might have been more like a mad scientist just throwing things in a beaker. But it really all started with the Woodsball World Cup, and we had 10 people on the roster plus 11 with Anna, and then we've kept all those 11. There's one player that we have lost in the time since we formed the Saber Wolves at that tournament. But other than that one player, we've only added people, and the idea has really been, first and foremost, to try to build a team that to us is much more like a family, and really we do much more with each other outside of the paintball field than we do on the paintball field or at paintball tournaments. Our guys spend way more time interacting and hanging out and doing things with each other away from paintball, which was very important to us, since we really, all of us have lives outside of paintball. I mean, with the exception of Eric and Jared, and I guess the Pointers too, none of us are professionals in paintball. We're all professionals in something other than paintball in our real lives. Mm-hmm. And so we all have significant others or kids or jobs. And so we didn't want there to be any pressure to do anything other than just play and have fun. And recognizing that it's hard to win a paintball tournament, we wanted to have a team that we felt like could win if we're doing everything right and we're playing to our potential, but that there was not so much pressure to win that it became unfun when we didn't win, or where we're going to be screaming at each other or making it a not enjoyable experience. So we wanted to be able to leave every tournament and be hungrier for the next one, but most importantly, just have enjoyed our time with each other. So that's what we did. We've focused on those intangibles and the chemistry aspect much more than just trying to have good players. And the nice thing about it has been that we just feed off of each other so well. I think we've managed to build a team that just has really spectacular chemistry. We don't practice. We just show up and we play paintball tournaments, and we kind of talk to each other in between tournaments about where can we improve, what codes do we need to change. But we have very few codes. We more kind of talk, and we just kind of describe things, that we have a good chemistry and we kind of flow with each other very well. So over time, that has really been our focus. And there's so many of us that have known each other for years, decades.
Yes.
And so as we've kind of built more people to just be able to play more events and increased our roster, it's been from friends, from people that we've known, and really trying to focus on that family aspect of it. I think in that sense, we've been very successful.
That's fantastic. Anna, how old were you when you went out to the field with Dad? Like
for the tournament?
Right.
No, just started.
Yeah.
What?
When you just as a kid, did Dad bring you to the paintball field?
I don't even remember. I probably don't remember the first time that he took me out to a paint. I remember. Well, I remember. I think the first field might have been Bill's in Texas. I don't remember what it's called, but
you were 10 at Fun on the Run.
That's it. Yeah. There's this great picture of white yellow mask, and then I'm in like the chest protector or whatever, because back then I still wore those. Yeah, but I don't remember. But paintball's been around all my life. I mean, I think he was playing a tournament right around the time that I was born. I don't remember.
No, that's true. I think 2 weeks after she was born, the Sabre Wolves 5 and 10 man team swept the Zap-Am Open in Pittsburgh in 1997. So that was, right. She's grown up with my dad and myself playing paintball.
I've always admired it. I've always thought like when I first started at 12, I was a little too shy and cautious to really love it. But I stepped quick around 14 years old, I think, when I started being able to go to the field regularly. I quickly loved it. And I wanted to be,
So paintball.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to be selfish here, which I'm not often selfish, but the reason why I'm asking is my daughter, whom at least I know Justin and Anna know my daughter. She goes with me pretty much everywhere. She loves paintball fields, and that's it. But now she's getting to that phase where maybe she doesn't want to go to the field as much as she did before. Now, she doesn't need to be a paintball player, and she doesn't need to go all the time, but it would be very encouraging for me and probably for other people just to say that there's phases that you had love for the game and times that you might not have appreciated it.
Yeah. How old is she?
She'll be 10 this year.
Okay. Yeah, definitely like don't force it. Don't make her go to the field every weekend. But if she even shows an inkling of like, hey, Dad, I kind of want to, even if she's, because I feel like, I think legally you have to be 12 to start playing, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's 10 in some now with the 50 cal. I think it's in 10 at some places.
Okay.
But yeah.
But yeah, I guess just if she even gives an inkling of wanting to just shoot a gun in the backyard, as long as you do it safely, like definitely give or encourage that part. And then just the ups and downs, like I had some ups and downs. Dad never said, let's go out to the field when I clearly wasn't feeling like it. It was just kind of work towards whatever you want to do personally. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was really fun being one of the only women out of the local field when I started playing regularly and really getting into it and made friends with all the guys there, all the guys my age. It became really fun to be, I mean, I don't know if that sounds weird, but it became like I wanted to be there because it was very different from the rest of my life where I was just around other girls in school and that kind of a thing. So it was a very different environment. And if she gets into that part of it, where it's this very free form, everyone's running around the woods together. If she gets into that, then she'll love it. There's really I've never met a girl who actually tried to play and stuck with it and didn't like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
May I address that?
Absolutely.
Well, what Anna says there is very, very, it's true. But if I were to just arbitrarily put an age, that's very difficult, but 12 is probably a good age. Oftentimes younger than that, a lot of the parts that are just not quite developing as far as confidence and fear and a lot of things are much more a part of our personalities. Justin has a brother that's 4 years younger, and if anything, he played when Justin started around 12 or 13. Our other son started about 8 or 9, and so and he didn't like being hit, and at that age you don't. And but he chose a different walk in life. They're very different. They're both wonderful people, but I agree with what Anna says as far as playing. There will come a time she'll either love it or leave it, but 10, in my opinion, to be out there with us is too young. And I know you're right, but about 12 and not, hey, this is good. that'll all work out. An interesting thing about it, of course, I've got a bunch of doctors in my family and so forth, but the Medical American Association, ladies and gentlemen, did a study of the most dangerous sports in the world down to the safest team sports. And if I remember right, in that study, paintball came in, I think, the safest team sport in the world, and that was including things like badminton and table tennis, soccer, and so forth. And it's because in paintball, you have complete control over which way you move. It's no jerk, and that's a very important thing. It's total non-contact sport. And there are other reasons too, but it is considered to be a very safe sport, unless you like to fall a lot, like I do. But anyway, so that's another reason why people say, "Oh, it's so dangerous." No, it's not. Right. I mean, if you're playing out here without goggles, you're plumb stupid. But it is a safe sport, and that's how that goes. Another thing, I've had a number of people ask me, "Why don't you play for the Sabre Wolves?" I love my son, and he loves me, but I don't want him as my captain, and he doesn't want to be telling me what to do. Sometimes I feel it is I love the arrangement that we have. I'm playing tournaments with him, but not playing against him, but we're all playing the same game. But we choose not to play on the same team, which makes the most sense in the world. And he knows me, how I like to fall and get hurt and all that. Not playing paintball, just I'm clumsy. Mm-hmm. And so I love the roles that we have separately. My slime balls team is the oldest, probably one of the oldest living teams. We've got 4 or 5 players right now that played with me when I 25 years ago. And we've been a continuous team, except for those hiatus you said, but over about 32 years.
Right.
And there are 5 of us coming up to play at the Iron City. Now
Iron City Classic.
We may get thumped, but that's not our issue. We always make 2 goals out of 3 every time we play, and I'll tell you what they were. For fun, with honor. We always make those goals. So we may or may not win. That's the best attitude to have when playing paintball. There's no place out there for macho, getting angry, and all that kind of stuff.
I see your influence in Justin and Anna. I see that. I see how your direction has built in all of that, but I also see and know in Justin, and I believe in Anna, the more that I get to know and talk to her. And I followed you guys when I was filming for the ICPLs and everything. You welcomed me into the tents many times. I see Justin and Anna being the cutthroat, competitive, stomp on your opponent. I see that bloodlust sometimes in their eyes, and pal, I get completely how I assume that on a weekend that you're at the field, essentially everybody's friend, just like Justin said, borrowing the shirt off your back, the guns to the new guys, and just being that ambassador. So the family has all the bases covered when it comes to that.
I think so, and that's real good. And I love it. That's well put. And but see, the one thing we never do is we never cheat. Yeah. Winning is important, but playing fairly is more important.
Integrity is more important.
I was just going to say integrity is rife throughout the Owen clan, 100%. 100%.
But it's true with the Sabre Wolves team. I played with half those kids, and we're all great friends, and so it's just perfect having this. We go to a team, and heck, the Adcock boys, we raised them practically. They're great players, and we know so many people, and we've all played together for a long time, and that is a wonderful legacy. It's to have this long stream going through, and I'm going to keep on going out there if they have to push me in a wheelchair.
Yep.
As long as I got my brain.
Will you be pushing, Justin? Or will there be too much disagreement of exactly where to go on the field?
No. Listen, Justin is a fabulous captain, and he taught me. Justin really did. I mean, he has taught me more about being a good paintball player than anyone I know, because he just taught me so fundamentally great things. And it is true that I personally know that if I go on a walk-on field, I don't get shot very often, and I put out tons of people, and I don't use many balls, because the things that Justin taught me about snap shooting, never going over, don't go over the top of a bunker, come around and do those things. Those things are skills that do not take quick movement. But anyone who wants to hold a gun on me, just hold it on me I don't care if they're 20 feet away or 50 feet away, that person is going to die. I mean, get shot.
Yes.
Because the reason being, I will come out and shoot them and get back before the ball. They'll watch the ball going to me, and that's something that Justin taught me a long time ago.
I've seen it. He does it all the time.
Watch the ball. You don't need to watch the ball. You shoot and get back.
Yep.
And I come off the field all the time. I will loan kids my electronic gun or whatever, and they'll say, "Oh, you shoot so many people," because I said, "Give me that thing," and I'm using their old gun that they rented.
Yep.
That when you pull the trigger, it feels like a howitzer just went off. Right. And I'll say, now, I don't do this in game, but you count how many people you shoot out. I'll count in this game. We go out and we come back off the field, and he said, "Man, I shot 2 people with this thing." I said, "That's great. Listen, honey, I shot 12 to 14. I don't know how much with this old gun," because the reason, as my son will tell you, and Anna will tell you, the gun makes it more fun to have a nice gun that's smooth and easy to shoot.
It frees you up.
The skill set is it.
Yeah.
And the Sabre Wolves, in my opinion, can go out there and play with almost anything and be a pretty good team. But it's all good. We all love each other. We have none of us drag any regrets in our wake. We just live, and we have the most wonderful family. I mean, goodness, these are just the 2 of them. We've got 4 more grandchildren, and they're all wonderful. His wife is wonderful. It's just one of those. It's a mutual admiration society amongst our family and even extended. And we are blessed that we can be here today just talking with you about this wonderful sport of paintball.
And from my standpoint, again, I think that you did a fantastic job with your son. I've known him for a long time, and I've never heard a bad word from really anybody, even people that they beat. They'll pick other people to complain about, but never Justin.
Justin's got a pretty good mind on him. I know both of my boys had some interesting questions asked when they were young, and about abilities and so forth. And I said, the reason you guys she's in the other room, is what I'm trying to say. My wife, Ann Burleson, to whom I've been married. I've been married to her for over 50 years.
Things
Where's this going?
Dad, where's this going?
Oh, I'm just simply saying. I'm branching. I'm branching. That's what old people do. You know what? You know the definition of elderly? When you think anybody gives a hoot what your dog did today.
All right, so listen, I got a good story.
So pardon me for branching. Go ahead.
No.
You like stories. I'm going to tell you a good story. So Dad had alluded to, back in the day, we used to play these 2- and 3-man tournaments out at Jim Lively's original Nashville paintball sports field. Yeah. And so the way that they would run the tournaments, which was fantastic, a huge big woods field, many acres, and they would combine all of their fields into one big field. So the whole field would be open, and then all of the teams would be put on the field all at once. And so the game would be 35 or 40 minutes long, and basically kind of a free-for-all. They would give a 5 minute before the whistle, and you go out on the field, and then once the whistle goes, then it's every team for themselves. And so we were playing a 3-man tournament, and a lot of people don't know, but my father is deaf in one ear. So he has a problem with direction. So back in the days of the slime balls, we used to put him on one tape line, right? So that he didn't have to worry about direction. It was always in front of him or to the inside, right? And so we go out on the field, and the ways that they used to run this is that every team, every player had a reincarnation. during the course of the game. So you'd get shot, you'd have to go back off the field, check in, then you could come back in. But when you're walking back onto the field, you have no idea where your team is, where they've gone off. You have to try to find them and that type of thing. So we're on the field this one day, and Dad gets shot, and myself and Robin Adcock, who back in the day was the captain of the Saberwolves, he's on the field, I'm on the field, and my dad gets shot and goes off, and then he's coming back on the field, and we can hear Robin. We're in the middle of the field, and there are these cedar trees and bushes that are there, and we can hear my dad saying, "Justin, Robin," and we're like, "Yeah." Every other team is coming in for us, and we're shooting them as they come in. They keep and we're talking old school woods field, so it's super thick. You can be on the other side of a bush from somebody and not know that they're there.
Right.
And so we keep screaming at him, and he'll show up at one spot. We can hear him coming from one spot. Then we'll say, "Yeah." Then a minute later, it's like the other side of the field, and he keeps yelling and screaming. Meanwhile, every time that someone yells, we hear this flurry of shooting. And then Robin and I shoot somebody, or my dad shoots somebody. And within about a 10-minute period of time, we had gone completely in circles around each other, not able to find each other, had shot everybody on the field, every team on the field. And it's all because Dad, the old man, could not triangulate.
It's a funny thing.
You can be honest now, pal. You can say that it was all a plan. Just go with it. Just go with it.
It's a funny thing when the boys are being raised. I never let them say to tell the truth, to be honest, because we were taught that once you give your word, once you say something, that's it. But that's what he says there is quite true. But the end of that, bragging a little bit, is that I'm not too sure that Justin and I, or the three of us, it was Justin and I and someone else, like oftentimes was, I'm not too sure we ever lost a 2 or 3 man tournament. I don't think so. I remember one that we were banned from because we intimidated. Remember that, honey?
Yeah, but listen.
Anyway, that's brag. But anyway, that's what you do when you get all you have to do is sit back in the old rocking chair and think about good things. But anyway, we had a lot of fun, and I imagine right now that the three of us right here could put up a pretty big fuss in a 3-man tournament. But
we've done it before.
Now? Are you making that call now?
I got to tell you, those old school 3-man tournaments where it was every team for themselves, all in the field at the same time. Those old school woods fields, that was much fun. Those were a lot of fun. Any of you field owners out there that are listening, you have a big woods field, give that format a try. Talk to me about suggestion, how you run. That was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And
thanks for having us today, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. The whole thing is it's sharing it with the world. I had a chance to talk with you, pal, down in Florida. And like I said, I have, years of experience with Justin, and I'm just getting to spend time and learn about Anna and her playing and how passionate she is about it. And it's amazing. I know that there are other families out there. There are other people out there that are going to watch this and say, I connect with that. It speaks to them, and it shows you that you can be many things in paintball, and you don't have to be negative to be successful.
It is a wonderful sport for older people. They just don't realize you can walk where you want to go, you can shoot, and you can do in paintball, you do what you can or want to do. And that's the reason more and more older people should be doing it. It's good for the health. It simply is. And I know that I've seen a number of people out at our local field that have come out and started playing, older people, and they've done it from watching me. Not that I'm great or anything like that. I'm talking about they've just been maybe it gives them a little bit of the no excuses, say I'm going to come out and some of these guys are playing and they're having a ball because you just can't play anything much safer than choosing to walk if you want to and all this kind of stuff. And yet you still have this marvelous fun of give and take. And it's anything, but it's the last place in the world. I want to say this about paintball. And through paintball, I've met the nicest group of people I've ever known. It is not it had a lot of bad people assuming wrong things about paintball. And Justin will tell you right now, even if we play a group of policemen or a group of army soldiers, whatever, we will slaughter them every time while we're laughing.
Until they've learned to play paintball.
Until they've learned to actually play paintball. It is not a sport where you train people to be bad or evil or do bad things. And what I said, best people I've ever known.
Yeah, actually,
right here in this sport.
When Dad and I first started playing, his parents were strongly opposed to it. They thought that it was mercenary training and that it was teaching somebody how to be Rambo and mass shooter training, and they were just really opposed to it. And then we came back from playing, and they asked about it, and I told them, look, I got to tell you, if it's half as easy to get shot in a real combat as it is on the paintball field, I don't want anything to do with it.
Right.
An appreciation for it, but the nice thing about paintball is it is so safe, but it is that simulated danger. You get a rush. You're out there on the field.
That's a good point.
You're diving in behind bunkers. There's a lot of simulated danger and aggression, but in reality, it's not. You come off the field and you high five and you handshake and you share beer and stories afterwards. I mean, the people of paintball is what has kept me in it. I would not have continued to play if I didn't enjoy the people. Going to the Iron City Classic and hanging out with the people in between games and seeing people like Tim Montresor and people from all over that are coming back into it and making these things happen. Reconnecting with old friends, making new friends. The people is really the culture of paintball is the great thing. I mean, every sport is going to have its people that you don't necessarily see eye to eye with. But I mean, I've got a whole extended family, not just with the Sabre Wolves, but so many people throughout paintball that I would never have met otherwise, and that I keep in touch with, and that I truly love because of the sport.
That's fantastic. I mean, that there's lots of us that feel that same way, and you put it very eloquently, and that's what it's about.
All right.
And Anna, how where from here? Where do the Sabre Wolves go from here?
I don't know if I'm the person to answer that question.
I'm asking you. Are you playing the Iron City Classic with the team? Where are you guys playing next?
Oh, I don't know, because I was I've had some stuff, like I'd recently got a job where it's kind of a career building thing, so I haven't had the time to really sit down and look at my schedule outside of that, extracurriculars. So I don't know the next tournament that I'm playing. I'm not quite caught up with the next tournament. I think we might be playing North Carolina next.
Yeah,
right?
Everything at the moment is pretty up in the air. There was,
yeah.
And we don't. I guess we're kind of waiting to see what happens with the whole pandemic situation.
But North Carolina was super fun last year, so if we can play that next, that'd be great. I want to be there.
A shout out to the CFOA. What she's talking about was the CFOA 10-man that we played last year.
Yes, that's
Paintball Central in Greensboro. It was an absolutely spectacular tournament, and I'll give a shout out to the referees in particular. I think Tyler Humphrey, I think that's his field, and his referees. I'm going to say they hustled like I've never seen referees hustle before.
Yeah, they were the best.
But this was the best refereeing that I've ever seen. They were hustling. They were on the job. They were engaged. I mean, it was something to behold. The fields are spectacular. Tyler's really got a fantastic facility. The competition was good. Trauma. It was the return of trauma to the paintball circuit. The hyperball field was just wonderful. Every field was fun. They had a hybrid woods hyperball field. So that one was on there. So we've got several that we're kind of contemplating, but right now I think everything's up in the air. We're committed to the ICPL. We would not commit to the ICPL until I knew I wouldn't throw my hat into the ring as far as committing us to the ICPL until we knew that we were going to play it and could commit to it. So we're committed to that. And then the Iron City Classic, we're committed to that. I truly believe in what Tim is doing. I believe in what Tom is doing. Mm-hmm. And everything else we're kind of deciding as we move along. And we want to play overseas. We want to try to get overseas and play an event over there and play as much as we can.
That's great. Now, I don't know if you guys even realize this, but we've been talking now going up on an hour. And we can talk about many other things, but what I will do is say that we will retouch base after the Iron City Classic when that happens. Hopefully it will happen and we'll get through all of this together. But wrapping up in a very slow progression, I would start with Pal and say, is there anyone that you want to thank that you feel hasn't been represented, or that you want to thank in your neck of the woods, from fields to players to anything?
There are almost too many. I have very much enjoyed. We play, and I play at Abita Springs, and there were some wonderful people up there. Owners up there are wonderful. Charlie, as we call him, but there are just so many good people that I've run in through the years. I kind of call, when I go to paintball tournaments, I call it hug ball.
Yeah,
because I get so many hugs and
full
so much
contact
love
hug
from everywhere, and that's probably one of the worst things you can do right now during this thing they call a pandemic. But I'm hoping this will come over, and I'm with my children here. There are way too many people to answer to, but you just develop a sensation of, I don't mean to be slurpy, but of love.
Yes.
And that's just the way it is.
Why did he choose that word?
Hey, it works.
Sappy.
I get it. Justin,
Yeah.
I know that you have more of the canned answer, so please tell me people who have helped you along the way that you want to say thank to. You can thank sponsors. You can do whatever it is that you want. I just, give you an opportunity to highlight the unknown.
So, I mean, I'd say on a personal note, just very similar to my father, way, way too many people to list. But on behalf of the Sabre Wolves, I guess I would start by personally wanting to thank all the Sabre Wolves. And then on behalf of the Sabre Wolves, I would say GI Sports, just wonderful to us with the paint. We have our own adrenaline shockers that we shoot, and James and the guys at Adrenaline have been fantastic. We wear custom jerseys and pants from Raza and Weapons. Todd and those guys, Carlos, Al, have just been wonderful. We wear dye I-5. Anna's the only one that wears an I-4. It's because she's got a smaller head than the rest of us. The rest of us are wearing the I-5 goggles, which we absolutely love. And we're shooting their R2s and rotors. Insane Paintball and Airsoft, which is in Chattanooga. We consider that our home field. It's run by one of the Wolves, Jared Powell, with Eric Evans, that's also one of the Wolves. You mentioned the Pointer Brothers. We support them, the Pointer Brothers Pro Shop, which is in Newcastle, Indiana. And then Inception Designs is one of our, actually a fantastic sponsor, Simon. They just make great products, and we shoot their Stella barrels and then also their GoPro mounts. And then kind of lastly, I would say that Hans and Russell and the guys with GOG and Shocker, just unbelievable tech support and help from us. And we really do appreciate all of them. We're fortunate enough to have plenty of people that have offered for us to be sponsored, and we can kind of pick and choose. And we have accepted these sponsorships and are honored to have them from people that we would use anyway, products that we would use anyway. So that's pretty neat.
That's a wonderful answer and exactly what I expected from you, Justin. Anna, do you want to follow that up from a young perspective, please?
Yeah, he can be kind of like a lawyer sometimes with his very in-depth answers, right? I'm glad that he answered before me, because I would have had to be the Sabre Wolves rep, and I can never remember all our sponsors' names. So I'm glad that he went ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over those. Obviously, thanks to all our sponsors. For me personally, since I'm so young, I don't know a whole lot of the big names of paintball, all the people that my dad and granddad know and grew up with and grew up playing paintball with. But for me, it would be the not original, but for the revival of Woods Ball, mechanical ball, it would be the 10 Sabre Wolves that allowed me to be that alternate back in, 2016? Because that was my first tournament, and they would, if it weren't for the guys that were there at the time who showed me how great it is to play tournaments, especially when you're on a team with so much natural chemistry. It was the first time that the Sabre Wolves had been together in years, and they just clicked, and I was able to watch that. And that for me got me hooked in tournament paintball. I think it was a perfect storm of a situation for me to kind of see how the ideal situation that a tournament can be. So for me, it's thanking those Wolves, and especially special shout out to Bill Oshbacher, because he was playing paintball when I was growing up watching my dad play. So he taught me a lot too. He taught me how to be a back player. He was my back player when I first started, I guess.
Bill is
that's my godfather.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's basically an uncle. They're like brothers. So yeah, but he taught me a lot, like how to kind of take things slow and not really, you know. And you know what? I want to special thanks to my dad's philosophy of don't panic, because that has pretty much helped in paintball. First rule of life is don't panic.
Rules to live by, not just in paintball.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank all of you for spending this hour with me. I also want to say that if I'm still doing this, later on the year, I'd love to revisit all of you and spend time and see how the season has progressed for you, because I know people are going to love the show, connect with it, probably hit me up with lots of questions that I should have asked. And you're an example of what is great about paintball. You're a fantastic family. The more I get to know you, the just more wonderfully fantastic it seems, almost to the point of it's just too wonderful. But I appreciate go ahead.
No, I just said thank you.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything. I know that this was kind of just, an impromptu thing. So again, thank you all very much. And I can't wait to see how this whole journey goes.
All right. Thank you, Brad.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Everybody
be safe. Yes.
You very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. That was 3 generations of Owen family. I could ask lots of questions, and I think that most of what needed to be said this first time was said. So I want to thank Justin, Pal, and Anna, the entire Saber Wolves organization, for again allowing me to be in on your experiences, and from Atlanta through the ICPL, the Iron City Classic as well. So you guys truly are a family, and I like to consider myself part of that, and it's a great thing. So thank you all very much for listening, and I hope you got something great out of it, because I know that I did. Thank you.